Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Sarah Basinger, and I am an alumni career counselor through the Office of Alumni Career Services. So we are so excited to have you here today for our webinar on building your personal brand for your professional job search. Today with Pamela Weinberg, she always is one of my favorite webinar presenters. We always have great turnout. So quick introduction. Pamela is based in New York. She is a career coach and a public speaker where she takes people through lots of different processes around career search and career coaching. And today, as you can see, she's gonna dive into personal branding. She is also a parent to a Tulane alum. And so she has had not only personal and professional experience with all of this. I always learn a ton from Pamela, and I know you will too today. So I'm actually going to just go ahead and kick it off to her. And then before she jumps in, if you have any technical questions or general questions for Pamela, feel free to use the questions tab on your control panel, and then we will answer all of those at the end. But if you have any technical issues, I'll be on the chat and on the questions that I can help you walk you through that. So Pamela, thank you so much for your time today, and I'll hand it to you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been a pleasure working with you on this. And good morning or afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are dialed in from. As Sarah said, I am based in New York City, and I am a career coach here in New York, but work with people all over the country, and now even especially thanks to Zoom, really anywhere. I'm so excited to be back speaking to Tulane alumni, and I'm the proud mother of a Tulane alum. And I loved my 4 years being a parent at Tulane, and I'm just so excited that I can maintain my association with the school by working with the alumni. So as Sarah said, today we're going to talk about how to build your personal brand for job search. And I'm going to try to give you some job search tips as well along the way. And feel free, I'm not going to be able to see your questions right now, but feel free to put them into the chat, and when I'm done speaking, we're going to leave time for questions at the end. So if you have them as you go along, just jot them down. Okay, here we go. So let's talk a little bit about personal branding. What is a personal brand? So the term has actually been around for a while. It's been around since 1997. A business guru by the name of Tom Peters wrote an article which was called "The Brand Called You," and in this article, he talked about how marketers do such a good job marketing brands, and I think one of the examples that he used was Coke versus Pepsi. So Coke versus Pepsi, like both are colas, but they're both really different. Everything from their packaging, their messaging, the kind of advertising, the kind of memories one brings up versus the other. So he thought, if marketers can do this for brands, why can't people do this for themselves? So the idea behind that is, then I think if there's one thing I would love for everyone to walk away with today, is that everyone should be able to answer the question, who am I and what makes me different than everyone else? So all of you on this call today are Tulane alums, and that's one thing that you have in common. But there's a lot that's different about each and every one of you. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, how to formulate your brand. And then once you know what your brand is, how to utilize that brand to make you the standout candidate in your field, in your job search. This is another quote that I love from Jeff Bezos. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. So everyone has a brand. Whether you think you have a brand or think you don't have a brand, you do. And your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. So to think about, what would you like people to say about you, what they actually say about you, and a good way to sort of know what your brand is right now is to Google yourself. What would you find when you Googled yourself? My hope would be that someone found a fantastic LinkedIn profile that would tell them everything they needed to know about you and your professional experience. So, because as you know, and as I'm sure you do, for those of you in job search mode, before you're going on a job interview, I'm sure you were Googling the people or looking them up on LinkedIn, the people who are going to interview you, and you better believe they're doing the same about you. So what is your personal brand? Your brand defines who you are and what you stand for. So it's really a combination of your values, what are the things that are most important to you, and your skills. I actually did this talk yesterday, very similar presentation to a group called Edge for Vets, which is a group that is a nonprofit for veterans who've come out of the military and are looking to transition into the civilian workplace. So, one of the things that we talk a lot about are, the values that you get in the military and how that can be transferred into the workplace. And, if you think about that, for yourselves, what are your values that you have that are really most important to you? What are your career values? And what are the skills that you have that you can bring to the workplace? And that is really what your brand is all about. So, think about that as we go through the presentation, and even maybe, jot down some notes. How will branding help your job search? So a bunch of reasons. One, it helps to streamline your search, because once you know what your brand is, once you know how your skills and values are going to structure your search, then you really know what you're searching for. It helps to direct and focus your search. You're not going to be looking for jobs in marketing if you're someone who is a data scientist. So, with your skills and values, you're really making it very clear to yourself and to any hiring manager where you fit. That's super important. It helps you to differentiate yourself from others. As I said, all of you here are Tulane alums, but you're all really different from one another. So your brand helps to differentiate you and help you to stand out. It can also enhance your recognition as an expert. Maybe you're someone who has done a tremendous amount of research in your day, and something that you could write about, blog about, put on your LinkedIn profile. Maybe you're a photographer who can do a fantastic job with a portfolio and put that on your LinkedIn, or have an Instagram dedicated to your craft. All of these ways are ways to brand yourself as an expert. It also can help raise your visibility to potential employers. With a fabulous LinkedIn profile, which we hopefully will walk away with today, I'm going to do a bunch of give you a bunch of tips on creating a great standout LinkedIn profile that helps to raise your visibility to potential employers who will be hiring managers who will be looking for candidates, sourcing candidates on LinkedIn. So one of the first things I like people to do, oops, you know what, Sarah, let's launch our poll. Let's launch our job search poll before we go into our next slide. So I wanted to find out before we go much further, how many of you are currently engaged in a job search, so I know how to best gear my examples for the presentation. And Sarah, once we have the answers, once the poll is closed, if you can let me know, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, we've got, I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll. We have about 73% voted. So I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds if you wanna vote, and then I'll go ahead and close it. Okay, perfect. So we have 81% are currently in a job search and 19 are not.
Okay, great. So the majority of people here are in job search mode, which is great. So I'm going to be sure to focus and give a lot of examples that will help you build your brand for your search. So one of the things that I like to do with my clients, this is actually a Wordle collage, is to really spend a little bit of time talking about a client's skills and values. Like what makes them who they are? What makes them stand apart? So, you can take a minute or two, jot this down during the presentation, utilize, look at this collage, see if it gives you any inspiration. Think about yourself. What are the things that do set you apart in building your brand? What would be the kind of things that you would say about yourself to answer the question, tell me about yourself? What would be the things that you would want a hiring manager to know about you that would set you apart from other candidates? So something to very much keep in mind as you are thinking about building your brand. So that was one thing. You want to think about those adjectives that were on the Wordle collage. And then here are some other things to keep in mind. How you present yourself publicly. So as I said earlier in the presentation, you already have a brand. Whether you know it or not, you do. And a big part of that is nonverbal, honestly. It is what you say, but it's also how you show up. An interviewer typically is going to make a decision about someone within like the first 30 to 60 seconds. And often that's before you even get words out of your mouth. Are you making eye contact? And this is definitely challenging during Zoom. So I'll give a couple of Zoom examples too. Are you making eye contact? How is your handshake? Were you on time? Were you able to chat and have a little bit of a conversation before you launch right into your interview? What are you wearing? Are you dressed appropriately for the kind of job you're interviewing for? So that's a lot of some of that's in person, some of that's Zoom. Obviously, Zoom, you want to be dressed professionally. You want to have good lighting behind you and in front of you. You want to have nothing distracting. You want to make sure that if there's a dog, they're locked away someplace else, not in the room with you. You want to make sure your phone is off, of course. You want to have some kind of nice neutral background behind you. You want to take all of this into account in presenting yourself publicly via Zoom, and make eye contact via Zoom. I know it sounds kind of weird to say that, but you know where the camera is, and you just want to make sure that it looks like you are looking right into that person's eyes when you're on that Zoom call. What would you like potential employers to think about when they think of you? So again, going back to those descriptors, what are the most important question to be able to answer is, tell me about yourself. I spend hours working with clients on getting the answer to that question, because most people think it's, let me tell you everything I've ever done since I graduated from college, when in fact, what you really want to do is pick out the most important things about your brand that you want to share with that potential employer that is going to make them be able to see you in that seat, that they will be able to see you working at that company. So that's when I ask, what would you like potential employers to think about when they think of you? That's what you would like to work on, getting your bullet points about yourself, about your brand, and how it would help you for them to see you in that role. And following up on that, what is the key expertise that you want to convey? This very much comes from looking at the job description, knowing a lot about the company you want to apply to, and knowing the job description, so that you have a really good sense of how to prepare for the interview and to know which of your many expertises you want to share with the hiring manager. So now we're going to go into the creating your mission statement, crafting your mission statement. A mission statement is I think, one of the most important things to have in a job search. It really will serve as the GPS for your career, so that you really know where you are going. And you can utilize this mission statement for so many different things, as far as building your resume, building a cover letter, interview skills, etc. You want to, in your mission statement, describe what you want to focus on and who you want to become in this stage of your career. This works, really well for recent college grads who may, be looking for their first job out of college, people who are pivoting to another career, people who want to get promoted. What are you looking to achieve in this stage of your career? Make your mission statement positive. It should be authentic. It would be impossible to talk about branding without talking about authenticity. Branding is all about truly being who you are. If somebody picks up your mission statement from the ground, they should be able to know it's yours. It should be, it should have all of those unique qualities and characteristics that make you, you. You want to include skills and character traits and knowledge that you value and you want to develop further as you grow your career. And in every sense, no matter what stage of your career you are in, there's always things to work on, and you always want to change your mission statement as you continue to grow in your career. And you want to use this really to direct your job search. Like I said earlier, in talking about having a good brand, it really helps you to stay on track with your job search. If you know you want to pivot from advertising to public relations, you're going to have that in your mission statement, and you're going to make sure that you stick to your mission. So here's a sample mission statement. This is from like an actual client that I had worked with, who was in digital marketing. She was someone who was in her mid to late 20s, and she decided, she was in marketing, and she decided that she wanted to really get more into the digital marketing piece, because she felt that that would make her even more valuable to her company. So she decided her mission was to become a strategic expert in digital marketing. So not just someone who can actually, be creative and create great marketing pieces, but she wanted to get to the strategy behind that as well. So she wanted to be able to be looked upon in her group as someone who could both do strategy and be creative. And she wants to be known as someone who acts with integrity. This is something that was really important to her. She's a team player, and she wants to be the person who does what's right, even if nobody is looking. That is really important to her. So that's really who she was really about. She was someone who's strategic, skilled in marketing, and had integrity. Those were her three things that she felt made her very hireable and stand out. So how is she going to accomplish this? She plans to attend industry conferences and also speak at industry conferences. Speaking at conferences is a great way to elevate your brand so that people in your industry know about you. What could she speak about? She could speak about digital marketing and how to create strategy around digital marketing, maybe some of the tools that she's used. She wants to gain additional skills in this area, and she wants to develop relationships both in her company and outside of her company with thought leaders, so she can eventually be seen as a thought leader in her field. So, you can utilize this kind of framework if you want to create your mission statement. There are lots of other ways to create mission statements. You can look online. There's a website called Quint Careers that lists different mission statements. Oprah Winfrey has a mission statement. Lots of celebrities have them, and you can probably even think about, celebrities or people in the news and think about what their branding statement would be, what their mission statement would be, people who really, live their values. So now that you have your mission statement, or you've thought about your mission statement, and you can certainly utilize a lot of those, going back to our Wordle collage, utilize a lot of those words in putting, in your mission statement. Your mission statement is going to be really valuable to you, for you. I like for my clients to use it in the summary section of their resume. I like people to have a professional summary on top. And you can certainly utilize a lot of what you're saying about yourself in your mission statement on that summary section. You can also, once your resume is done, you can utilize the same sort of statement on your LinkedIn profile in the about part of LinkedIn, where you can write something about yourself as someone who is a brander who specializes in personal branding. I love LinkedIn as a tool because it really is three-dimensional, and you can put so much more of yourself into a LinkedIn profile than you can in a resume. You can be much more creative on LinkedIn and upload, parts of your work, things that you've done, experiments, articles that you've written, blog posts, photography. The sky's the limit on how you can personalize your LinkedIn profile to make it work for you. You can also utilize your mission statement into talking points for job interviews. Again, that question, tell me about yourself. The three, and I said I'm going to try to sneak in a couple of job search tips during my presentation. So the three questions I always want my clients to be prepared to answer are, tell me about yourself. Why should XYZ company hire you? And why should we hire you? And why do you want to work at this company? So tell me about yourself, 3 bullet points about why the skills you have fit into the company, and they can help you see them in that seat. Why do you want to work at XYZ company? Shows that you've done you want to do your research on the company. I like my clients to go further than just the company website. Look on their Facebook page, look on their Twitter, do a Google search for news about the company. Have something to bring to the table there that will tell them that you've done your homework on why you want to work there and why you'd be a good fit and what you could bring to their company in a variety of ways. And then finally, why should we hire you? And there I really like clients to lean into the values piece and really talk a lot about a work ethic and lean into more of the soft skills, where the first tell me about yourself is more about the hard skills. Promoting your brand. So now that you have your Wordle collage, you have your mission statement, you have a sense of what your brand is, of who you are, how are you going to promote that brand? So reading articles that match your interest by journalists, by bloggers, you can do that in a variety of places depending on what your industry is. And don't just read the articles, respond to the articles. I had a really wonderful thing happen to me when I became a career coach 13 years ago. There was a blogger that I followed. Her name was Lisa Belkin, and she wrote at that time for the New York Times blog about the intersection of work and family. And I spoke a lot to moms who were going back to the workplace after taking a career break. And Lisa Belkin wrote a lot about that topic, and I ended up commenting on one of her blogs. And I didn't just comment and say, like, That was great. I agree. I actually wrote like a paragraph comment because I felt like I had something to add to the conversation. She ended up responding. We had a lot of back and forth, which we ended up taking offline and started an email relationship. And a year later, she invited me to be on a panel with her about the intersection of moms and careers. And that came out of nowhere. That came out of just by me responding to a blog post. So I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And what it did for me was it elevated me into a place where I could be on this panel with this woman who was like pretty renowned in her field. And it put me in a different light with my professional peers. It really elevated my brand. So I highly recommend that. You can create your own blog or website. LinkedIn now has a great blogging platform, free. You can write a blog about anything that's in your chosen field and post it on your LinkedIn page. And then that will start making your LinkedIn profile a place for people to come to learn about your topic and expertise. Join professional associations. This is another great way to elevate your career, whatever your field is, whether it's human resources or marketing or finance. There are a million professional associations that you could join either via LinkedIn or, sort of in person online. And so many of these professional organizations have pivoted beautifully during the pandemic and offer so many webinars via Zoom. And don't just join, speak. I have become a speaker at numerous professional associations. They're always looking for new topics and new speakers. So raise your hand if you have something to say and become a speaker. This is an easy one. Include a custom signature in each email that you send. Your signature can include your LinkedIn profile if it's something that you're proud of, your Instagram if it's something that has to do with your brand. A great way to brand yourself very easily. Final tip: sign up with HARO. It's help a reporter out. With the proliferation of blogs and places to write, places for content, there are more writers than there are stories or experts. So sign up with HARO and see if there are writers who are looking to feature someone like yourself, or someone like or what you were doing. It's a great way to have people reach out to you to sign up and let them know that you're an expert in your field and have them interview you. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource in many ways. So before I launch into talking a little bit about social media for branding, Sarah, would you launch our social media poll, please?
Yes.
So in this poll, I want you to know which social media platforms are your go-tos for job search. I'm sure many of you go to LinkedIn, but I'm wondering how many of you look at some of the other platforms for job searching as well.
All right, I'm gonna do 5 more seconds and then I'm gonna close it.
Thank you. And if you can just tell me the results, that would be great.
Sure. All right, so we have 93% LinkedIn, 13% Instagram, 27% Facebook, and 27% Twitter. No one chose TikTok.
Okay, interesting. That's great. So yeah, no surprise about LinkedIn. That's obviously the place to go for job searching. And I'm glad to see that many of you are looking at some of the other platforms, because I think that it's really great to, especially depending on what type of job you are looking for. I think Instagram can be a great place to look for jobs, as can Twitter. And it's, again, each of those platforms really have their own their own businesses which shine. Instagram is typically for more creative types of jobs, where Twitter is typically for more, businessy, tech, finance, I would say very tech heavy. And Facebook is a great place to look as well, and especially to follow companies that you're interested in on Facebook, because they may post things on their Facebook page that may not be posted elsewhere. Interesting, and of course, I don't know everyone's ages who are on the on this webinar, and I certainly am not a TikTok user, but I do know that TikTok now, for those of you who are on it, is offering a lot of great career advice. A lot of people have taken to that mantle on TikTok. So I would say check it out. I don't know if it's like a hiring thing. I don't know if it's a place that you want to brand yourself as someone who is hireable, but I would say don't rule it out and, sort of take a look. So as far as branding yourself on social media, you kind of can't be everywhere, right? You can't be managing your personal and professional brand on every platform. So choose a couple and commit. So for me, for my business, what I've decided to do is LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm a service business, I'm a career coach, and if I'm going to get clients through social media, it's typically through both of those. And I would say, leaning more heavily towards LinkedIn. But my LinkedIn and my Instagram are both branded for me. Keep one platform for yourself. So as I said, you can't be everywhere. So I hardly use Facebook, but if I was going to have one for myself, it would be Facebook. And I also have a personal Instagram, and I have a business Instagram. So my business Instagram, obviously, Pamela Weinberg Career Coaching. It's all about career coaching. And then I have my personal one where I post about, friends and family. So I would say definitely make sure to, keep one for yourself. Post consistently, but vary your posts. So I know for me, for Instagram, I post every Monday and Wednesday. I'm very disciplined about doing it. Monday is motivation Monday, Wednesday is work it Wednesday. So I know that I do content every month, and I know that those are the 2 days I'm going to post something related to careers, so that people who follow me know that that's a place that they can go to get information and advice on their career, job search, branding, etc. Develop a signature look for all of your platforms. If you have a profile picture that you like, I would say use it. Use it where you go. If there are certain colors that you like, try to use those colors in all of your branding. I do that. If you look at sort of the colors on this presentation, it's the same colors you'll see on my website and on my Instagram. LinkedIn. So, 93% of you are utilizing LinkedIn for job search. No surprise. All of the recruiters are there. So, as I said, if you have to choose one place to be, I would say make it LinkedIn. So what can you do to make your LinkedIn really work for you? You want to craft a great profile. You want to have a good photo of yourself that shows you in a work setting. So that could just be like a professional picture of you with like a plain background, wearing, business attire, whatever that means to you, whatever your business is. For someone who's in a more creative field, it's probably not going to be a suit and a tie. For someone who's working in finance, it probably will be. So, you decide. I also like my clients to do a background photo behind their headshot. I think that's a great way to brand your LinkedIn profile. If you're not going to be someone who has your own personal website, then make LinkedIn your own personal website. I just worked with a client who is works in museums. She does fundraising for museums, and we just rebranded her LinkedIn profile. She chose a painting that she really loves and made that her her background to her LinkedIn profile. And so what does that show right away? Like, it shows that she's into art. Like, that's what she's about. That's what her brand is. So I would say, think about that for yourself. Is there anything that makes sense for you to have as your background photo? And if you can't think of anything, but you are, a New Yorker and love New York, do a city skyscraper so that you're branded as someone who's ready to work in New York City. A creative descriptive headline. So the great thing about LinkedIn is that it's very intuitive. When you're setting up your LinkedIn profile, it will utilize your most recent job as the headline. That could be fine, depending on what works for you. If you're employed at a company and happily employed, if you're someone who's looking for a job, I'd like you to use a more creative or descriptive headline. Like, my headline says, I think it says career coach, personal branding, resume writing, seminars and workshops. So I'm listing all of the things that I do. So if someone is searching on LinkedIn and they put in the search bar career coach, I'm hoping they're going to find me because I have that phrase, those two words, in my headline and peppered throughout my profile. So what would you want your headline to be? How would you want someone to find you? Like, are you a marketing executive? Are you a data analyst? Put in your headline how you'd want someone to find you. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense. I said this before when we were talking about how to use your mission statement, and professional summary is a great way to utilize your mission statement. It's a great place for you to tell your story, whether you're a career changer, a job seeker. This is a great place to tell the story about you, who you are, what you do, what you want to do, what you're passionate about. This is a place that, you don't have this opportunity on a resume, but you have this opportunity on your LinkedIn profile, and I would say go for it. You want to have keywords in your skills section, but you also want to have keywords all through your profile. So if a recruiter is sourcing candidates for a job, you want to make sure that you have the proper keywords in your job description. For instance, if I were applying for a job as a career coach someplace, and I would want a recruiter to find me, I would want to make sure that I had words in my profile that would show them that I have this experience. So I would want to have words like resume development, LinkedIn profile development, career coaching, interview prep, etc. How do you know what the keywords are for your career choice? Look at the job descriptions. If you put 6 job descriptions side by side, you'll start to see the same keywords and phrases propping up over and over and over again. And that will give you a good sense of the types of words and phrases you should have in your throughout your LinkedIn profile. Recommendations. It's great to have recommendations on your LinkedIn profile if you can. Former bosses, former colleagues, peers, professors, anyone who you've worked with, even in a community service organization. Great to have recommendations that will tell a potential employer important things about you that you would want them to know. And again, that goes back to your skills and values and your brand. What are the things you would want someone to know about you who is going to hire you? Your LinkedIn's a great place to post links to relevant articles that are within your field. I do that a lot on my LinkedIn for I'll post articles that I think will be relevant for people who are searching for careers or branding themselves, going on job interviews. And then I also, and I should do it more, post my own original content, blogs on LinkedIn as well. Join groups on LinkedIn and follow companies on LinkedIn that you're interested in. By following companies that you're interested in working on and working for on LinkedIn, they will be in your newsfeed. So you and LinkedIn sort of control what your newsfeed is by the kind of people or things, companies, industries that you follow. So if you're interested in going into commercial real estate, start following the commercial real estate organizations that most interest you, so that you'll get up-to-date information about them in your inbox. Social media don'ts. So typos or misspellings on your communications, not good. So you want to really, really be careful. Obviously on your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, Instagram, Twitter, be really careful to not have any misspellings or typos. Posting on too many networks, like I said, stick to a couple that you feel you can really well maintain. The worst thing is to, go to someone's blog and see that they haven't posted since, 2015. You want to apply the 80-20 rule to posting. You want to post 80% about other and 20% about yourself. So you want to post about things within your industry that people will find interesting, and then 20% about yourself. So my Instagram and my LinkedIn are typically advice. I want to give advice to clients, to potential clients, to job seekers. So I'm going to post a lot about things that I think will be helpful, content that's helpful for them for job search. And then 20% of it will be maybe a little self-promotional, like, oh, I'm speaking at Tulane today. Or if you're looking for a great graduation gift, think about a gift certificate. But that's really the 20%. That's the rarity. The most common is the content of helping others. You want to be consistent with your messaging. So on my Pamela Weinberg career coaching Instagram, you're not going to find me posting about the New York Knicks. You're going to find me posting, maybe you would on my personal Instagram, but you're going to find me posting about everything career related on my Instagram. So, make a decision on which of your social media platforms you're going to decide is going to be your branding tool for yourself, and stick to it. So finally, the last word on personal branding, and then we're going to take some questions. So we started out the presentation discovering your brand. We talked about what personal branding was, what people say that when you leave the room, and I hope that you've had some time to think about that today. We talked about the Wordle collage, where we had some keywords that hopefully you've written down some about yourself that will help you discover and uncover what your brand is. Then we talked about creating and communicating that brand via creating your mission statement and communicating your brand through LinkedIn, resume, cover letter, and the social media that you choose. And then finally, you want to maintain your brand. And that, I think, is like the most challenging. Like, I know for me, like I said, I have my content calendar. I know that I have to create content for my Instagram for every Monday and Wednesday. So that's, I call giving your brand the care and feeding. If you've gone to the work, you've done the work on discovering and creating your brand, make sure to maintain it. Make sure to set up a goal that's not too lofty. Maybe you can't post 3 times a day. For me, I felt twice a week was what I could manage. So other people post, 4 times a day, or 4 times a week. This is what I can manage and maintain. So that's what I've chosen. And once you have those 3 pillars, your brand will continue to lead the way for you for your job search, and hopefully will get you in the door and hired for your new job. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I am here as my contact information. If you want to contact me, take a look at my website, follow me on Instagram, certainly connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like. And one tip about LinkedIn, which I didn't talk about, is when you're connecting with people, always connect with a note. Give people a reason to connect with you. So, let me know, like, hey, Pamela, heard you speak for the Tulane webinar today. Would love to keep in touch. So make sure when you're connecting to connect with a note to remind people of, what your interaction with them was. So thank you all so much for your, for your time and attention. I can't see the chat. So Sarah, will you tell me if there are any questions?
Yes, absolutely. Pamela, thank you so much. So there's one question that came in while you were talking that you actually answered, but I do want to expand. So the question was, do the mission statements vary based on the type of job? And you did answer that, but I do want to have you expand on, you talked about having the mission statement on the resume, on LinkedIn, on different places, but I heard you say that you kind of would tweak it a little bit. Can you just maybe go a little bit deeper into basically kind of walk us through like what are your recommendations for the type of tweaks based on the platform?
Yeah, so a mission statement is really for your eyes only. That's the work that you are doing in order to figure out what your brand is. And you're going to, utilize parts of that to put on your LinkedIn or your resume. So for instance, going back to the example that I gave about the digital marketer who has integrity and is, wants to be known as a strategic marketer, strategic expert. For someone like her, I would, probably utilize that. And on a resume, I might say, digital marketing professional with 5 years of experience in strategic marketing, excels in working with teams and leadership, and something like with strong leadership skills. So I would make it sound resume-y, so to speak. So that would be like a really off the cuff, obviously, example, not certainly not perfect. And then for LinkedIn, using that same sort of a thing, I would say I like to use the professional summary on LinkedIn. I like to make it warmer and start with I. So I would probably say something like, I'm a digital marketing. I love to do digital marketing. I take a lot of pride in figuring out the strategy for my clients and then making sure that all of our creative materials fit with our strategy. I do this by, X, Y, and Z. One of the things that my team members, the feedback I always get from those who work with me is that they love collaborating. I always will always have my clients back, or always make sure to support my team members. Like I would sort of speak on my LinkedIn profile in a way that's more conversational.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful.
Again, like not the best example off the top of my head, but that's that's the sort of idea and different tone I would utilize in a resume versus LinkedIn, but utilizing the same information.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, no, thank you. That's really helpful.
Okay, great.
So Melissa just sent in a question asking, also on LinkedIn, is it necessary to upgrade membership to premium tiers?
No, I'm so glad she asked, and no, I always tell my clients not to. I have premium because I use it for my job. if I didn't use it for my job, I would never have premium. I think you can get you can utilize 95% of their functionality without upgrading to premium. I wouldn't waste your money. The one thing that you could do is you could, usually the first month, I don't know if they're still doing this special, but during the pandemic they had a special where you could join and the first month was free. So I had clients who were like deep into job searching, and I said, you know what, join for the first month. It's free, and see if you really think you've gotten you get your money's worth. And nobody ended up sticking with it, honestly. So that would be one thing I would say you could try. She could try.
That's great. Okay, so the next question is from Anne, and this is a two-parter. So how would you recommend that recent grads frame a lack of experience or experience in a campus job that provided practical experience that may not be directly relevant to the content of the desired field?
It's all about transferable skills. So, first of all, nobody expects a college student to graduate and have a million skills, right? So, I don't know how far out of college you are, and I don't know how many years you've had in the workplace or whatever, but so no one expects that. So, I would think about, just not putting that much pressure on yourself to expect that. That's A. And B, it's really about transferable skills. Maybe you worked in an office on campus, and that meant you had to develop problem-solving skills, client relations skills, great phone manner, ability to do data entry and analysis. There are lots of things that you've probably done in your jobs that would look very favorable to an employer.
I think that's great.
Let me just add one other thing to that. And, I know we're all just coming out of the pandemic, and it was a really hard year last year for so many of us. And my daughter got laid off during the pandemic, so I lived it like really up close and personal. And, what I said to her and other of my clients who got laid off during the pandemic was, every employer is going to understand that, this was not, no one was laid off because of performance or, so every employer understands that. What you need to be able to answer really is, what did you do during that time? Whether it was some kind of volunteer work, taking a class, getting a freelance job, even, taking up a hobby, volunteering, in a hospital. What did you do during that time that makes you be able to talk about how do you fill that gap in, what have you been doing for the last 6 months?
Yeah, I would also add to that, keeping up, like to everything that you've talked about with LinkedIn, right? So keeping up with industry trends, like there's so many different ways that you can also word, because I'm thinking of people who maybe didn't do any of those things that you mentioned, but also, I feel like there's so much pressure on people, especially during the pandemic, of like, maybe they didn't volunteer, but they also kept reading or started gardening. I mean, I'm just adding to everything you're saying, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say? So I know that you gave an example of what people can say when they reach out to you on LinkedIn. A lot of the questions and conversations I have with alums, especially new grads, is they worry so much about getting that message perfect. Can you maybe just talk through kind of some common mistakes, but then also some ways, almost like mental ways, that to take the pressure off of like crafting the absolute perfect message?
Yeah, I mean, I would just sort of have sort of a standard go-to. It shouldn't be long. It should not have typos, You should get the person's name right. You should give a sentence about, what the connection is, hi, John, I see we're both Tulane alums. I'm looking to get a job in wealth management, and I see that you do wealth management at Wells Fargo. Would you have 15 minutes to speak with me about your experience?
Great.
Like something like that. So you want to do the why you're reaching out. We're both in that. That's, you know, we're both Tulane alums. What your ask is. So your ask is, can you speak to me for 15 minutes about your career?
Perfect. Yeah, I love the simplicity of that. I think so
Yeah,
often
you
it's
don't want to
overthought.
say, right, you don't have to really say more than that, and anyone can just utilize that as a template.
Great, wonderful. Well, those are all of the questions that we have. Did you want to offer any just final closing thoughts?
I feel like the next time I come back to speak, I should speak about LinkedIn for an hour.
Yes.
There's so much to say about it.
Yeah, I think we should definitely bring you back just for that. I think that's a great idea.
I want to just say, you know, good luck to everyone. And I want to just, you know, for those of you who are in the job market right now, from where I sit, my clients have really been getting jobs. People are really starting to get hired. Jobs are coming back. So hang in there. This summer is going to be a much better time to look for a job, certainly than last summer was. And I just wish you all the best of luck. And if you have any questions or decide you want to work with me or learn more about what it would be like to work with me, please feel free to just reach out. And every 15-minute free consultation with me. So no pressure, no cost associated with it. I'm happy to chat.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you so much for your time today. And for everyone on the webinar, we will be posting the recording as well in case you missed anything or want to listen to it again. Pamela, have a wonderful day and thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Bye, everyone.